Well, up to this point we heard a lot about the consequences of mimicry on cognitive aspects, on our thinking, and especially on our attitudes, for example, towards other people. But it's a well-known fact in psychology that even if you succeed in changing one's attitude, this does not necessarily mean that he or she also changes her behavior. So therefore it's very interesting to now take a look on behavioral consequences of mimicry. And we will first take a look at consequences for helping behavior. Do we become more helpful towards people who imitate our behavior? Then we will take a look at consequences for sales. Do we buy more products? Do we spend more money if another person imitates our behavior? And finally, we will take a look at the consequences of mimicry in romantic relationships. So what does it mean for love relationships? But as I said, let's first begin with the question whether mimicry evokes prosocial behavior. And therefore let's first take a look at the study by Ashton, James and colleagues published in 2007. And because there are already a lot of studies on this topic, I'd say we begin with studies in which non-verbal mimicry was used. And later on we will take a look at studies in which only verbal or a combination of non-verbal and verbal mimicry was applied. Okay, then let's dive into this with the study by Ashton, James and colleagues published in 2007, in which 51 students were told, well, this experiment is about your memory, and we would like to hear from you the description of your typical Monday. And so the participants began to explain, well, first I brush my teeth, then I say goodbye to the 3 girls from last night, then I feed my alligator, and then I blah blah blah. And during this interaction, you might guess it, the experimenter either imitated the nonverbal behavior, which meant he copied the posture, he shook his foot if the participant shook his foot, he touched his face, he scratched his face if the participant scratched his face. In the control group, he was just sitting there in an upright position. After this interaction, the participants thought, well, the actual experiment is over, but in fact, now the crucial question was put forward, because the participants were now asked whether they were willing to help out on a voluntary basis, so they won't get paid for it, whether they were willing to help out a PhD by filling out a questionnaire for him. And when the participants had been copied, when their non-verbal behavior had been imitated, their willingness to help, the probability that they said, well, okay, yeah, why not, was twice as high as in the control condition. So in the control condition, only 38% said okay, whereas in the mimicry condition, about 72% said, yes, I will help.